didn't really start in real estate.
I did not.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
So I started actually in the non-for-profit space. I was doing leadership development with women across the United States. I was traveling full-time to different college campuses, teaching women about emotional intelligence, understanding how, team building, and just really focusing on their path through leadership, conflict management. I mean, I think I always knew I loved working with people, but I really loved building something, and I loved being able to be in control of my brand and the team around me and how to motivate and inspire people. And I kind of was always interested in real estate. My family was in development, so I started getting my real estate license while I was traveling. Came back to New York, in 24 hours, had landed at a brokerage and kind of kicked off my real estate journey, which has taken about 700 different turns in the past few years since I got into it. People talk about real estate as a collective, but there's so many avenues to what that actually means.
You touched a little bit on brand, and
Yes.
you have a pretty friggin' incredible brand. So how did you go about building your brand?
Yeah.
What avenues are you using?
Being genuine and being honest with yourself and with your audience. I think when it comes to real estate though, and branding, and I tell this to my agents and to my team a lot, being fluid with how you grow your business and your model. Because where you're going to end up, 1 year from now, especially new agents or people new in the industry, is not where you're starting from today. And I hear all the time, like, well, I'm not doing any deals, or the market's really bad. That's okay. Like, everyone else is experiencing the same thing. But it's about how are you packaging it and how are you carrying yourself and conveying your message for how people are going to listen.
In that regard of like growing.
Yes.
You've grown your brand to 30 people, team.
Yes.
That's pretty amazing.
Thank you.
Can you tell us about like your journey to getting there? But then also like, what is it like managing that team and then also managing like $10 million?
Those buildings.
Yeah, like all of those. That whole team.
It was really during COVID that I feel like my business was shaken up a little bit. Like probably everyone everywhere, and definitely everyone in this room. Where I was thinking about who was I working for and what was I doing day in and day out, and did I want to do something different with my time? And I realized my greatest asset is that I love teaching and I love training, and I think that's pretty powerful, being a woman in this business where you're like, I don't want to hold any secrets back, and women are not a threat, and we can all work together. There's plenty of business for all of us out there. So I decided after I had been on multiple teams throughout my brokerage career that I wanted to start my own. And we started very, very heavily female focused. I wanted to initially really focus on newer agents in the industry and training and inspiring and uplifting and giving them a platform to feel comfortable failing.
That's amazing.
You're scared when your first job or your first career, or everyone wants to get into real estate sales because you can make as much money as possible. What they don't tell you on the other side is that you could also make no money. Where every single deal is like, okay, I'm either eating with this paycheck or I'm not, so I don't want to mess anything up. I think having the resources to ask questions and be vulnerable and feel comfortable doing so is pretty rare in this business. So that's very much at the core of Nest Secrets as a whole, but definitely the Masters Division, which is my team. The Masters Division is just a year old now. We've grown from me and my partner Christian to 30 agents. We're in almost every borough. We've expanded to the Hamptons, to Westchester, and now we're doing projects throughout Europe as well.
So speaking of the Hamptons,
yes.
you're on you're on a little fun show.
I am.
Which is not so little.
It's not. It's
called
not.
Selling the Hamptons.
Yes.
So how has that experience been?
Reality TV is actually pretty real. I walked in my first day and I was really expecting a script. There is none. And it was absolutely, totally never something I thought I would do my whole life would be to be on reality TV. But it's been an incredible journey. We just finished filming season 2, which is so exciting. I think, the show for me ties directly into your question before about branding and exposure and about reach and having a platform. I can sit in this office all day long and sell real estate, and my business is very healthy and will continue to be that. But in order to, hopefully grow further and reach more people, which is why I originally got into this industry, is through different platforms. Social media is a huge one, and then being able to be on TV for my clients is huge. And for me, what I've learned through that, it's a whole second job. But it's a lot of fun. I mean, we film for almost 3 months out of the summer, 10 to 15 hour days, which is wild because every 4 hours scene of filming gets cut down to 2 to 3 minutes of TV time. So think about that next time you watch whatever your favorite reality show is. There's a lot of realness that gets cut down into what looks like a short scripted few minute scene, but it's really cool, and it's allowed me to enter the Hamptons market very strongly, but also leverage that to enter other markets as well. We were talking about this a little bit before, that, real estate is not, I was nervous. I love traveling. I was nervous to get into real estate because I've been pigeonholed into living in one city and just selling in one city. But so much of real estate is marketing and is strategy and is positioning and is communicating what you're doing. And if you're able to master that, you can do that in any city. Like, you just have to learn the town lines and where the best food store is and where you want to shop and eat and do all those things. But, understanding, market and psychology and positioning allows you to think about real estate on a global scale, not just on a very localized model.
Thinking about real estate like that, it's a little overwhelming.
Totally.
So how do you stay current on different market trends and whatever's going on, especially in the economy that we're in right now?
So I spend a lot of time reading, spend a lot of time talking, and listening. I think that's the most important thing I've learned, is that I normally don't have all of the answers, but you can learn a lot of things just by listening. And so, with my current business model, I'm very fortunate that I get to work on so many projects in this market, and I get to know this really well. But when it comes time to learning, new markets, taking the time to really be creative and understanding how did I get to know this market so well, and how do I apply that there. A year ago, when I started my team, I brought an agent on who's one of the founding initial people, and she said, I really want to open in Milan. Her brother lived in Milan. He was a broker there, had a different brokerage. And I said, listen, we could do all the things we're doing here in Milan. If we start with the buildings and we understand new development, marketing, and strategy, start with the building, then from there, we can get more localized into the luxury properties, individual homes, working with buyers. I'm not going to say all of a sudden I know everything about Florence, but if we know everything we can about development marketing, that will give us market share. And that's exactly what we did. And now a year later, we have $200 million in exclusives throughout Italy.
Amazing.
So it could be very overwhelming looking at the big picture, but I think it's, the building blocks for how you enter a market and how you learn about the market, and really studying the trends, and always finding opportunity when everything around you is crashing. Like today, I'm listening to the news, I'm listening to brokers in the office talk about interest rates and what's going on. But when the market's a challenge for one group, one demographic of people, it becomes an opportunity for the other. So if your business has been, with sellers for the past few years, no, is it the best time to sell right now? No, but it's a great time to be working with buyers where there's opportunity. So you just have to be willing to move and change.
That kind of goes back to your pivot.
Sure, absolutely.
And And so how do you approach when you get a new project?
Yeah.
How do you approach it? Like what's your strategy?
So the buildings you're
Yeah.
talking about projects, yeah. So I guess kind of to preface that, a lot of what I do in my business model is new construction and new development marketing. So I work with developers throughout the city from site acquisition. I don't represent them on the land, but they are about to buy a piece of land. They come to me and they say, what's the highest and best use of this building? I could go up 30 stories and I could do this many square feet of amenities. What would you build? And that looks different for every single neighborhood and every single block, and what the views are and who the demographic is. So a building I would build in Tribeca is going to be very different from on the Upper East Side. Is going to be different from Williamsburg. So we spend a lot of time studying the market and the trends. How are 1 bedrooms moving? How are 2 bedrooms moving? What's the 3-bedroom market? Where's their opportunity? What's in the pipeline? When are we coming to market? And how do we best compete? So studying the data first is the most important. Then it's knowing, based on experience, what is performing the best. What kind of kitchens do we have to build? We do all of the pre-construction advisement. So from picking out the marble, to designing the bathroom stone, the vanities, everything we're helping with. And then the amenity package. And the amenity package is so heavily programmed on who is that buyer. So how many 2 bedrooms and 3 bedrooms? Is it a family building? Is it young professionals? What does the programming look like? Are we doing a children's playroom or co-working spaces? Is this in Bushwick where it's super artsy and musical and we want to have more spaces dedicated to that, or do we need to have a better gym package? So putting all of that forward, we spend a lot of time moving walls, building out closets, like very granular in the details. And a lot of this, I think this also goes back to why we've been so successful. Most development teams and companies, the executives do all of that advisement, and then it gets passed on to a salesperson at the end who has to sell the building. I make sure that my salespeople who are going to be working on the project are involved from day one, so they can communicate why are the air handlers on the roof versus on the side of the building. Why was the stair built this way? Why is the window set back? Why are we doing triple versus double pane? Really knowing all the details and becoming an expert in the construction. Not because, most buyers care about any of those things, but because the more you know and the more educated you are on the process and the product, the excitement comes through when you're talking about it and take ownership in it. If you could take ownership, I didn't physically build any of those buildings, but they feel like they're mine. Right? And so I want that same energy to carry through when, anyone on my team is talking to the developer, is talking to the architects, the engineers, the buyers, other brokers. It's really, really important. Being part of the whole process, involving people in the whole process, learning throughout it, and then also being like, oh, this is different from what I learned last time, and the market's changing, so what are we going to do different? Prior to COVID, all the construction we did was super efficient layouts. How do you shove 550 to 650 square foot 1 bedrooms, 850 to 1,000 square foot 2 bedrooms, 1,300 square? That's not what we're building anymore. Because people need home offices, they need walk-in closets, they need storage, they need their Peloton, right? So how are you designing apartments now? To check all of those boxes because life has changed, but also recognizing pricing is going to start to shift and we're going to move back to efficient. So it's all about using real-time trends to plan for the future and forecast a little bit without having a crystal ball.
How did you not feel overwhelmed when you started your business? And because I think, you mentioned that you know what you're good at, you know specific things that you're interested in. Where did you know how to start? Was it talking to people? Was it trial and error?
Really focusing one thing at a time. And then sometimes I get bogged down to doing too many things at once. So I'm like, okay, I'm doing a lot of things and they're happening, but none of them are the level that I need to deliver them on. So let's pull it back and let's focus one thing at a time. Let's accomplish the task, do it to a level where I feel proud to move on to the next step. In terms of my business model, it's always been, probably always be, to say yes to every opportunity, to throw a million things against the wall and see what sticks. That is not for everyone. I would say that lends itself to being very chaotic strategy and energy, but I live in the chaos and I actually embrace that. But I think it's really understanding what your personality type is for how you want to grow your business. And then finding someone, you need to find someone that you could talk to, who you trust, who has your best interest at heart. That's why I love groups like this and these conversations, even if it's just to bounce ideas off people. But I find, I have a best friend who is in a totally different industry. Like anything, when you manage people and you manage teams, you deal with all of the same problems and personalities. And she's kind of my outlet for how we manage our team and how do we motivate our people. And that's like a great outlet for that. And I have people in the real estate space where we could talk about our real estate ideas. So I don't think it's necessarily finding a one-size-fits-all mentor for the whole part of your business, but finding people you could talk to and who you trust and who you respect for an area of your business and take a little bit from every conversation.